The Nether update actually adds an incredible amount of new features and a lot of new items, and in this video I'm going to go over basically every single item. If I missed a few, I apologize. Let me know in the comments down below, but I think we got them all, boys. Starting off over here with my favorite part of this mod, quite frankly, because I am a big sucker for new trees. New trees just means more wood, and that means more cool building materials, and that just makes me happy on the inside. So over here we have the crimson tree, which grows in the crimson forests. It is grown using a crimson fungi, and it has these little vines on it, sometimes, not all the time, that you can climb up and down. It can also grow these shroom lights. Actually, both types of trees can. These shroom lights are essentially kind of like a growable glowstone in a way. I especially like the texture of the logs themselves, and I love the fact that they're actually ever so slightly animated. I believe this stuff can only grow on this stuff, which is crimson nylium. I think I'm pronouncing this correctly. Nylium? We'll go with that. I believe it can only grow on this stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. And over here we have all the different wood variations, and it's this really, really cool reddish purple color. Moving on, the warped tree stuff can be obtained from the warped trees, which are found in, believe it or not, the warped forests. This is kind of like a bluish green, and blue and green are by far my favorite colors. So this tree it's a dream come true. And it also has the little texture to it as well. This doesn't have vines coming off from it, but as you can see, like I mentioned earlier, it does also grow the shroom lights. Yet again, this has the warped fungus, which grows on the warped nylium. I think I'm saying that right. I still don't know. And then, of course, we have the woods, and they just look amazing. Do we even need to talk about this? Because I think looking at this just says it all. But now that I'm done gawking over the new woods, we have a new ore. Not a new element, but it is a new ore. The nether gold ore can be found in, you guessed it, the end. No, I'm joking. Haha, big funny. It can be found in the nether. And this basically just makes it so it's easier to get gold. As you know, that now gold actually has kind of a good usage, and that is bartering with the piglins. So being able to actually find their currency within the realm that they exist is actually pretty cool. Moving on, we actually have new nether brick variations. That's right, we have the cracked nether brick, which is ever so subtly different. I would like a little bit more, honestly. I feel like they changed the texture last minute. It's a little too there's not enough there in my opinion, but maybe that's just me. That's maybe my personal preference. So let me know what you guys think about that. I do, however, really like the chiseled nether bricks. I love this wither skeleton skull pattern within the nether brick itself. Moving on, we actually have a really interesting new block, and that is basalt. This stuff can spawn in the basalt deltas, and also you can actually make this stuff using a basalt generator. I do plan on making a video on how to make that. It might be a while before I get that up, but if you're watching this at the time where I do have it up, there will be a card up above and you can go watch how to make a basalt generator. But yeah, it basically comes in these two forms, and that is basalt and polished basalt. I actually had them over here. I couldn't distinguish between the two, so I had to bring them over here a little bit. But now, yeah, it's very, very clear which one is which. They both have like a pillory look to them, honestly. And this texture actually looks like it might be neat for roadways. It looks like a different variation of like a cobbled roadway. Over here we have soul soil. Now this stuff mostly inhabits the soul sand valleys. You can actually walk on it normally at normal speed. I don't remember if soul speed actually lets you walk fast on this or if it is only soul sand, but this stuff is cool because it gets you some new stuff. So if I type in soul real quick, you can see using this, you can actually get the soul torch, the soul lantern, and the soul campfire, which will be coming up on pretty shortly, but they're very, very cool new blue flamed items. Moving on, we have an additional variation to an already existing block, and that is quartz. This is quartz bricks. I think this is a really, really neat texture. Of course, quartz is really hard to come by, at least large quantities of it to make really big structures out of. So this is just another cool thing that I really want to make, but I don't know if I'm ever going to have enough quartz to be able to do it. You've heard of nether wart blocks, but now we have the warped wart blocks. As far as I can tell, this stuff doesn't really have a usage. It's the stuff that grows on the trees over there, or at least the warped tree. It doesn't really have a usage. It can be composted, and apparently it's actually really good in a compost, so it might be worth gathering up a bit of this if you want some bone meal. Right here, we have a brand new nether portal. That is not true at all. This is the crying obsidian block. The crying obsidian block is a block that's been in the game for a long time. It's now been retextured and repurposed. Well, actually, they brought it back and found out a way to make it have the intended purpose that it was supposed to originally have. I can't do words. Basically, you use the crying obsidian to make these things, which are respawn anchors. They allow you to respawn in the nether. And as you can see, there's this little bar here. This is a single charge on this thing. You charge it using glowstone, and as you can see, if I do this, it fills up a little bit more. This can have 4 charges per thing, so you will have to keep constantly refilling this if you want to keep constantly respawning in the nether. You can get crying obsidian by bartering with piglins, and you can also find it in loot chests in Bastion Remnants, and also around the randomly spawned ruined portals. Moving on to the feature that I think most people are looking forward to, and that is ancient debris and netherite. That's right, in order to get netherite, you need to find this thing called ancient debris. You get this, you smelt it down into netherite scraps, and then from there, we move on to the netherite. Combining netherite scraps in a crafting table with gold will get you netherite, and then from there, you can get all of the netherite gear. I also plan on making a video showcasing how much better netherite is compared to diamonds. If you're watching this and the video is not up yet, do not worry. It will be up eventually. Just subscribe, and it'll be up and you'll get the notification. It'll be great. But if this is way in the future and the video is up, then there will be a title card now. But you should still subscribe because you can never have enough Minecraft content. Moving on, we have blackstone. This is basically the nether equivalent of cobblestone or stone in general. The one thing I dislike about this block is it is not a renewable resource. Basalt was made into a renewable resource because you can make a basalt generator, much like you can make a cobblestone generator. But sadly, blackstone just doesn't get that treatment, and there's not really a way for this stuff to just be infinitely renewable. Which sucks because I don't like to tear apart entire landscapes to get a bunch of materials, and I actually really like this texture. I think it can go well with a lot of really cool designs and really cool builds. So hopefully in the future, they do add a way in order for that to happen. As you can see, it comes in the general normal stone variants. We have the polished blackstone as well, along with the chiseled blackstone. And then we actually have blackstone bricks as well in the many different forms and in cracked form. I think this looks great, as I said already. I can't wait to start building with this stuff. Next up, I don't know why I didn't have this over by where the warped forest stuff was and where the crimson forest stuff was. But we have new grasses in the warped forest. This is the warped fungi placed down, and these are vines that will grow within the warped forest from the ground up. You can actually climb up these as well, which is really interesting in my opinion, having essentially a vine ladder that grows from the ground that you can climb up. I think that's really, really neat. I don't think I built it this high either, so I think if you are able to place this in the overworld, which I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to, you probably will just be able to grow this infinitely. So that's, or maybe not infinitely, but you'll be able to grow this, and that's really cool. Next up, we have warped fungi on a stick. Before we get into the crimson stuff, we do need to talk about this because this is what you will use when you are riding striders. That's right, striders are a new mob in the game. You can put a saddle on them and they will walk across lava. It's a way to traverse the nether that has not been seen before. People have joked about nether boats, but I think this is a much cooler addition to the game than a nether boat. Moving on to the crimson forest stuff, I already talked about the vines. They grow from the trees instead. This is the crimson fungus on the ground. And then right here we have the shrubs, plants that grow inside of the crimson forest. I don't know why I'm getting those mixed up. Crimson is clearly red, warped is clearly funky. It should be obvious. Next up, we have chains. I think these are an incredibly cool new item. I think they're going to add a whole new level of aesthetics to certain builds. You can find these inside of Bastion Remnants. You can find them inside of the chests, inside of the Bastion Remnants. And you can also craft these using 2 iron nuggets and also an iron ingot. These are the different soul items that I talked about. We have the soul torch, the soul lantern, and then the soul campfire. I really love the blue aesthetic. I'm a sucker for blue, man. I'm a sucker for blue. Next up, we have the fletching table, which for some reason I thought they said was going to get a usage during this update. Maybe that'll come in a later version of the 1.16 update, but it doesn't actually have any usage. I'm clicking on it right now. Doesn't do anything, sadly. It will be still useful as a villager workstation, but other than that, no other usages. But that is not true about the smithing table. Along with the original usage of it being a villager workstation, which it still is, you can also use it yourself now. That's right, you can go ahead, and I have way too many blocks of netherite in my inventory, but you could place a netherite block in here along with a diamond piece of armor, and then you can turn that diamond piece of armor into a netherite armor. That's right, you will need this in order to do that. You cannot do it with just a regular crafting table. Over here is just more emphasis on the shroom lights. This is the texture a lot more closer up, and they do actually emit a light. I think having a growable light source is actually really interesting, quite frankly. Let me know what you guys think about this. Next up, we have the lodestone. The lodestone is actually a really cool block in my opinion, and it definitely makes the compass useful now. You see, compasses will point you towards world spawn, so it's telling me that world spawn is somewhere over this way. But if I were to link this compass to a lodestone, you don't get two compasses. This is just because I'm in creative mode. We go ahead and see this now, and you can actually look at both of these, and you can see that they're pointing two completely different directions. And that's because this lodestone compass is pointing to the lodestone. We already talked about the respawn anchor. I think it's a great idea that you can spawn in the nether. Next up, we have the target block. Now this block will emit a redstone signal from it depending on where you hit it with a bow and arrow. So if I were to hit it, like let's say dead center, it will emit a massive redstone signal, or well, you know, the biggest that it can. But if I were to hit it somewhere further on the outside, it would actually emit a shorter redstone signal. I think this is a really cool idea for like mini games and stuff like that. I don't work a whole lot with redstone, so knowing exactly all the intricate things that you can do with this, I'm not creative enough to figure it out, but I think this is a really interesting block in general. And I think in many ways it can be used as a design block too, so I can't wait to work with it. And lastly, we have 3 items. We have a new music disc called Pigstep. It is actually made by a new artist, not the one who usually works on Minecraft content. This is a new track in the game. It can be found inside of Bastion Remnants, along with this. This is a new banner pattern. I do not remember what it is exactly called. It is the Snout banner pattern. This can be found inside of the Bastion Remnants, like I said, and so can this book. I don't think this enchantment can be just made. I do think you actually need to find this enchantment. You can find boots inside of Bastion Remnants with it already. It is Soul Step. My apologies, it's called Soul Speed actually. It's the one that allows you to walk much faster on soul sand. I think it's really interesting essentially taking what is the slowest block to walk on and turning it into the fastest block to walk on. However, when you're walking on soul sand with a soul speed enchantment, it actually does use up durability the entire time. So it is a bit of a trade-off, but if you do want fast movement, it's pretty nice. And I believe that's it as far as items go. Obviously, there's a lot more features. There's new biomes, new mobs, and all sorts of other fun stuff in the new Nether update. But I believe I covered all items. And if you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys learned something new, if you just liked the video in general, it would really mean a lot to me if you guys subscribed and liked the video. It does help me out a lot. It makes my day, and it gives you more Minecraft content. And like I always say, you can never have enough Minecraft content. But with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will see you all in the next episode. Goodbye, guys.